Each patch of the World of Warcraft is accompanied by a unique event, whether it's the invasion of zombies or demons of the Burning Legion. Unfortunately, many players didn't find these epic moments. We will try to reconstruct the scenes of the past in detail, tell the beginners about the old times, and for the veterans to cause nostalgia. To begin with, I propose to go to distant 2006 and find out how the most global event ever happened in the history of World of Warcraft, opening the Gates of Ahn Qiraj. It all started with patch 1.9, in which developers presented as many as 2 full-fledged raids. The ruins of Ahn Qiraj counted for 20 people and the Temple of Ahn Qiraj for 40, for more experienced raiders. However, neither of them could storm the possession of the Silithids at once, since the Ahn Qiraj gates was sealed since time of the War of the Shifting Sands. On the other side of the gate, a whole army of enraged beetles waited for the heroes. The threat was serious enough, so the Horde and the Alliance had to build their own army, which was necessary to contain somehow. Points of gathering of supplies appeared in Ironforge and Orgrimmar. Players of the whole server had to farm ore, herb, skin, create bandages and even cook food, and then handed over it all to a special NPC. The number of some resources reached 800,000, for example, so many linen bandages were required for the maintenance of the so-called army. In order to fulfill this kind of quest, players were rewarded with tokens which in its turn were exchanged for reputation with the faction, and also received chests containing green items. So during the week each server participated in the mass extraction of resources in order to quickly reach the subsequent phases and become the explorers of the Gate of Ahn Qiraj. And on realms not interested in the race, by the end of the first stage of the event, supplies were replenished automatically. At the end of the handover of all resources, the army of Kalimdor was preparing for a great war. However, the gates were still to be opened. As it turned out, there is a mighty artifact broken during the War of the Shifting Sands, the Scepter of Ahn Qiraj. I think it's not difficult to guess that the next step for the heroes was its assembly. The longest and most complex chain of quests in the history of Warcraft was waiting for the players. Only the best of the best were the first to achieve the objective. In addition, some tasks required items from defeated bosses of actual dungeons, so a great scepter was collected only to one person from the raid in order to save time. But let's get everything in order. In the Cinerarius Hold, the first quest was issued, the purpose of which was to search from the dragon Anachronos inhabiting near the Caverns of Time. After that, the same NPC issued a quest with the hinting title, Only One May Rise. It was a serious deal, because in the quest it was required to go to the Blackwing Lair and bring the head of the Broodlord Lashlayer. Successfully killing him followed the next quest, the Path of the Righteous. Here also the first difficulties began. The fact is that earlier in WoW, the Anachronos, as we already mentioned, was near the Caverns of Time and was a representative of the Fraction Brood of Nosdamu. And of course it treated us with hatred. The dragon was ready to deal with all who dared to approach his caverns. With the quest, the Path of the Righteous, the player received a special token that allows you to collect pieces of Silithid shell from some of the Silithus mobs. The reward for 200 scales was 500 reputation. As well as access to the new quest, the Hand of the Righteous, he also gave not only 500 points of reputation, but also a special item allowing the ally to collect carapace fragments for you. In total, in order to proceed to the next quest, it was required to hand over 16,800 fragments. The snag was that on average, from the thickest mob dropped from 1 to 4 items, and it was extremely difficult to kill it in solos. Therefore, the entire Silithir was filled with groups and raids that was farming fragments for people from the guild who choose to carry this burden. Finally, after gaining a reputation, there was an opportunity to talk with a representative of Bronze Dragons, Anachronos. Taking his quest, it was necessary to go to Silithis again, to find a crystalline tear. Coming up to it, there was played out a small scene with the essence of which was just the destruction of the Scepter of the Qiraj. After that it was necessary to fly back to Anachronos. And then it turned out that all the attempts made by the players up to this point were just preparation for a real hardcore chain of quests. But I propose to talk about it in the second series of this rubric. I can understand if you liked this format of the clips and not by your thumb up. As soon as we get 2,000 likes, we immediately begin shooting and editing the second part. In the meantime, I wish everyone good mood and good luck.